I like Drake. It's just the
I like Drake's
fans-
music.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could separate
Drake's music. I don't
could
know
separate his
Drake
music.
to like him.
How I actually feel like I never met him, but like from perception, I just feel like he's in a lane that people bought into, and they've set him up to like look a certain way, talk a certain way. He makes good music. I don't necessarily agree with everything.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I like his music, if that makes sense. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yes.
seeing him as an artist from Degrassi and hearing how he talked, and even Kevin on stage just made a joke about it. He said, but the ER, he's like in a
Oh,
joke.
I saw that. That
But
was
even
funny.
to me, even though it's a joke, even that in his tone, that lets you know to me, that's kind of who the essence of he is before all this other stuff.
Right.
And now he's much more cool, he would never make that. But I think that's who he is, right? And I think that he's just very talented in how he makes his music. I just think he's an
actor.
I can separate it.
Yeah.
I think I can separate. I think he makes great music. You know what I mean? I listen to his music. Who he is as a person is like, okay. It's sad to me that maybe you have to be this to get that, because I don't think he's really himself. You know what I mean? All the time. And I think
I
when
feel
he
like
tries to
that
be
bleeds
himself, you know what I
into
mean?
to that notion of blackness, right?
Yeah.
The Kevin. So Kevin on stage had this clip where he had this old clip of Drake, saying something about he said right, but he said
With an ER, yeah.
with a hard
Like how
ER.
you would casually, yo, that's my nigga.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, nigger. And he caught it. But it's like, but to me, that's who he probably is in his environment. That's who he is. Cool.
Wait,
And then-
what was he doing?
No, he
normally.
wasn't saying it. He was just casual
casual
talk.
talking. If I was like, yo, nigga over here in the Knicks jersey,
Like my
Drake
nigger
was like,
over
my
here.
nigga over here in the
He
Knicks
said,
jersey.
"Nigga."
And I've always said that I feel like Drake lets his white friends say it. I've always said that
1000%
since we first met him.
Yes.
So, but I
He's
think
not
that
doing
that's
shit about
the
Yeah, not at all.
that's kind of like the question that's developing, for Black people is, what is blackness? Because I think where Drake comes from in terms of, and where other people come from in terms of like cultural backgrounds is important when it comes to what it means to be a Black American, what it means to be a Black Canadian. And so even the fact that we would even look at him and be like, hey, you said it with a hard ER, right? It says something about us examining his cultural background, his historical background, his community, his country. Where's he from? Is he from a community of white people?
Yes.
Where that,
That's what I believe.
Right. And so if he's from a community of white people, is that the definition of Black that we identify culturally with?
You could never get a good Black experience growing up in Canada unless you're like Caribbean, because Canada is so diverse. Like when you go to Canada, everybody looks like a mixture of something. I've never been to Canada and seen a group of predominantly like Black people that weren't maybe Jamaican or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you're not going to get a Black American experience in Canada at all. Like everyone is.
Well, you're not going to get an American experience in Canada.
Right. So it's just like to expect that from him is
Right.
kind of stupid because he didn't grow up in America.
And he came
he's
out of
not
a
Black.
Caucasian coochie. We have to call
You
it
have
what it
to-
is.
Exactly.
That's
we
not
have to
the same.
acknowledge the effect of
We
the
have
white
to say
mothers.
that.
You probably in Canada, you didn't grow up like, let's say, in America and the culture, but it's still like and is so like an understanding of the two.
Yeah.
I think even in Canada, even if you love hip hop, if you love you understand the difference. I think in your natural dialect, if you're saying like that to me says your environment is acceptable of that, and that's just who naturally you are. And I think hip hop, you know what I mean? And then I think him bringing his daddy and let everybody know, I got a Black daddy from Memphis. This is who he is. This is who he is. Really try to validate. Like, hey man, let me pass almost. Look, this my man. This my dad. This my dad. We see his dad. He's like, oh, okay, cool. But I think who he is as a person is the ER. Not saying he's some racist. I just think that's who he is. I think he's a
So,
dude in
but
a
that's
white
the point,
area.
right? Is are we holding a line? Are we saying, wait a minute, like we need to examine closer, like who we allow into the culture, how we allow them into the culture, and what actually defines the culture. And maybe that's the problem that we've had historically, right? Is we've never done that. We've never set boundaries for how we exist, why we exist, and how we let people in. And so if we've never created those boundaries, then everybody can just get in by proxy. So, oh, my daddy black.
Yep. But
Y'all be letting everybody into this.
That's a very good
cookout.
point, dog.
I
Yeah.
think that, and I'll get off this after this comment, but I think that when you have a white mom,
I always say
you
this.
have to prove your blackness not just by your daddy, because we all know that dads have less influence in your upbringing than moms do. I'm just saying what it is. Yes, there are some dads out here that have a strong influence, but majority of the time, it's the mother that has the most influence in your upbringing as a child. So if your mama white and your daddy black, you have to show us the research and the schoolings you've done to understand blackness. Like because that's what it takes. Speaking from someone who, I have a fake white mom. Like my mom, you look at her, you would think she was a white lady, but her mom's Jamaican and she grew up, and she honestly, she be using her white privilege too a lot. So I say all that to say I had to learn about being black. I had to learn my black pride on my own. My father is black, he's Jamaican. But my dad didn't teach me shit about being black. He taught me about being Jamaican, but he didn't teach me for real. It's just like my natural upbringing was in a Jamaican household. I think that's what saved me as well, is because yes, my mom was white, but we grew up in a Jamaican household because her mom is Jamaican. But some people don't have that added culture. Some people just have a white mama and a black daddy in America, and a black daddy not teaching them, and their white mama is teaching them the white that she knows. So if you have a white mom, you actually do need to show us that you've done the research and you've done the knowledge of being black.
Let's
And
just back.
hopefully
Let's
your
just
mama
back it
did
up.
too. Because
Let's
what are we
just-
talking about?
Let's just back it up too, though,
No,
real quick.
I'm saying, but moving
His mom
forward,
didn't do none of that.
No, I'm
The
just
white
saying,
moms
moving
don't do
forward,
that.
if you're watching this, because I've seen so many videos online of biracial children saying, "Please stop putting us in these racist families. They're using the ER. My grandmother's race. Like, please stop doing this to us."
Back it up, because we talk about black and white. Like in America, black got its definition as opposite of white.
Right.
And so black is opposite of white. I think contextually we have to put something on that and saying that. So if we're going to be identified by not being part of the status quo, which is whiteness, well then we need to create a line for how people who want to be part of, this thing that's been called black. How do you become black? And I don't think that it's just like black is a value system, and black is not just the skin color, because there are
Yes.
people that look
that are black and
that
they
look
don't-
black and they don't carry the values.
They are not
There
on our
are people
team.
that have very pale skin, but who have blacker values than others. And I do think that that's what I mean when I say like we have to create boundaries. We have to create a framework for how we exist.
We have to create an actual something to claim. We're the only people claiming the color. White people are like, I'm not white, I'm Italian. I'm not white, I'm this. We're the only ones like, nah, pick up crayon, I'm black. And they do
Yeah,
that on
but-
purpose so that we can't claim something. I'm a Moor.
But I mean,
I'm a Moor.
obviously that's what white people created this whole discourse
Yeah.
anyways, but we're at the point like we can't reverse it. So it's like people need to embrace being black.